What is up, everyone? Welcome to Nickel City Mafia and Red, White, and Bills. Man, all I can say is you got to keep Bill leaving. You got to keep Bill leaving. Let's go. Let's throw around the horn. Let's start with Jake. My goodness, I have so much to say, but I'm the older guy here. I need to be nicer. Let me throw it around the horn. This is amazing. Go talk
Amazing.
to me, man. Talk to me.
Well, you know what? There was a lot of talk about how we're 0-7 in one-score games and how we just can't seem to pull through. I think we finally turned the page today, and it feels so damn good to come back from a 17-point deficit like that. I mean, we're down 20-3. They had just about buried us, and I know, hey, Sean, you were thinking pretty poorly about this team at a certain point. You're like, I should even just turn this game off, but we kept on believing. Those guys rallied in the second half. Well, at the end of the first half, really. I mean, they did a tremendous job of scoring a touchdown and making it happen and kind of getting that those unanswered points started. But God, I mean, an incredible game. It was a little sloppy. It was a tough, gutsy, gritty performance, and I absolutely love to see it. Just so happy we came away with it, and go Bills, baby. I love it.
Yeah, I'll throw it to you, Sean, in a second here. It kind of felt like last year's game against Tampa. Remember, we started that game. We're getting blown out. We're like, what the heck? Who is this team? We're not a contender. They fought back in the second half, tied it, forced it overtime, and we lost one of our close games there. But it felt like that type of game. I mean, at halftime, I kind of was. I'm like, dude, this is this really a Super Bowl team? I mean, way they were looking. But anyhow, lots to say there. Let me throw it to Sean.
Yeah, well, as I said after the game, it was a tale of two halves. That first half was, I mean, that was the worst performance I've seen out of any team this year, at least. And after you lose that game the way you did in Miami, and you come out and you can't even catch a pass, you can't tackle, you can't do anything, and then it's 20-3 against a team that scores 30 points a game, and you got an MVP as quarterback. You're like, well, I mean, if you play like that, the game's over at halftime. And luckily we scored that Isaiah McKenzie touchdown, because going in 20-3 at half, they get the ball back. They score a touchdown there. It's extremely hard, but we got that touchdown. So we started turning the corner, and I said to you guys, you got to fight or fold. They were folding, looked terrible. And, I was disgusted with how they played, honestly, in the first half. And it's not just like with throws. It was dropping easy catches, easy completions, just three and out, just can't do anything. You couldn't get anything going. And then defense comes out in the second half, plays lights out, has one. That last drive the Ravens had was kind of iffy because they were giving up a lot, but they made that last play in the end, and, they didn't fold when they looked like they were going to. And then Josh did what he had to do. He drove down the field. They got down to the 2, wasted the clock out, and got a field goal. And, they played outstanding in the second half, and that's a championship win. But they were playing like bums in the first half. And, you're thinking, are they going to come out here and make adjustments and hang their heads down, or are they going to keep their chin up and be like, we can do this? And they did. And they won that close game. So now people are going to say, well, they're 1-7 in close games. But it was just the Ravens are a good football team. And that, like, as you mentioned in your pregame show, that secondary on paper is probably the best in the league. And they looked like they were coming out back to rare form in the first half. I was like, oh no, of course. And then
right.
Our offense just was able to get it done even with the weather. And proud of the guys for how they played.
Yeah, I mean, speak of adjustments. I mean, Jake, what did you see out there? What did we do to change this game? I mean, we're 20-3. We had to score on that last drive. We get it done. But for some reason, I don't know what is with our team. We stop teams. I think they put a stat up there. We've shut everyone out in the third quarter. We got that big stop, right? They get the ball. It's 20-10. They get the ball in the third quarter to start. We come up with a big stop. What adjustments did you see happening? And then I'll throw it over to Sean.
There were a lot of different things. I mean, Shaq Lawson played incredible in the second half there, and so did Boogie Basham. Again, I mean, him. AJ Epinesa was in on a few plays. I mean, we're just getting a lot of pressure. And how about Prince Emili? Called up from the practice squad, has that big tip. Of course, we didn't really capitalize, but great interception by Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer with 2 monster interceptions in the second half. Feels amazing to have him back, too. I mean, it's just I think the defense really, really stepped it up, and they obviously held us in the game. We did enough on offense to kind of drive downfield. We were running the ball a little more effectively in the second half. Josh really took control. I mean, that play fake, and then him running. You knew he was scoring a touchdown on that play too. He was not going down short and just getting a first down. He was scoring. So yeah, again, he sort of took over a little bit, did what he had to do, and we were able to just run clock and score points. So it was great.
Sean, how did we changed something on defense, right? We were able to shut them out in the second half. Was that just, was that just their offense just kind of folding, or what did we do differently? Because other than getting pressure, got a little more pressure for sure. What difference, what was the change we made there?
Well, I say they were bringing more heat on the edge too with blitz, and the contain got better because even a couple plays in the second half where like they overcommitted and then Lamar just took a QB draw up the middle. But I mean, overall they were doing solid. I mean, Tremaine had a way better second half than the first half. There was one first down where he was just standing there waiting until Lamar got to him. I know it's hard when you got to try to tackle this guy in the open field, but he waited until like he got past the first down to try to make a tackle. And I think it was the first time it happened. It was in the first drive, I think, where it was like 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12, and he's just like backpedaling instead of like trying to make the tackle. But he came out good in the second half. He had a couple of TFLs, and I mean he didn't lead the team in tackles. Milano had 13, but I mean
he played.
Speak of Milano,
they were very
good.
Very good gang tackling and wrapping up, especially with Lamar, because he, as you guys know, he's a hard guy to get down. And Milano had that nice open field tackle, shoestring, when Lamar could have probably took that for like 30 or 40 yards. So
and Lamar knew it too. He knew it, man.
Yeah. They did a good job with that. And then, I mean, the other thing that like it takes away from like the defensive actual performance is like another short drive touchdown. Like that's 2 games in a row where you gave them less than 10 yards to go until they get a touchdown. And that's just like, it's hard to defend, it's just, so I mean, really, the defense played a pretty good game. They got the first half wasn't as good as the second half, obviously, but they buckled down. And then, as Mike likes to say, bend and don't break. They were really close to breaking that last drive the Ravens had. And, and Jordan Poyer came out of nowhere and picked that off. And it could have been a touchdown. It was very close. So good instincts for Poyer, but I say bringing the heat off the edge really with the DBs really helped.
Sean, what do you think about going for it there on 4th down? I mean, are you kicking the field goal or are you going for it? It's 4th and 3. It's not like it's at the goal line. You think that's a mistake there? I mean, for me, it's raining, right? And we were pretty good. I mean, somehow in the second half, we were able. It didn't feel like the rain was affecting us as much as it did in the first half, and both teams had to deal with it. But I mean, to me, I'm kicking that field goal, get the points, take the lead, and then hope that something happens. I know their defense was getting kind of, I don't want to say torch, but we were actually doing what we needed to do in the second half. But still, put it on your D, put the points up, and see if something happens in the rain. Anything can happen in the rain. So what'd you think of the call?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. As like, I always tell you guys, you got to score to apply pressure. So if they got the field goal, I mean, we eventually went down there. We probably could have scored a touchdown regardless. But, but when it comes to me with like Lamar and Allen, when you're that close, get the ball in your best player's hand. So I think it was a good call. And but at the same time, like I'm more leaning towards I would have done that too if it was us. But like you said, with the weather and, it's a lot different when there's rain and like you can drop a wide open. The Bills could have dropped a wide open first down on 4th down or whatever, and then you won 23-20. But I do like the gutsiness of it, going with your you trust your offense, and I like that for sure. But it just didn't work out for them, and I'm probably more like 60-40. I would have done that, but I do agree. Why you should have just took the points too.
Yeah, what do you think on that, Jake?
I think there's something to be said about momentum, and the Bills had a ton of momentum at that point. So for the Ravens to kind of go down, have this great drive, and for it to end with no points, that killed them. So I think you needed to take the points there. I respect the call to go for it because they were kind of taking advantage of us on that drive, but they could have ended an unanswered point streak pretty much at that point, and it could have helped them out a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I respect the move by John Harbaugh to go for it, but I'm sure he's kind of thinking about it twice now just with how it all played out. But it is what it is, and heck of a win by the Bills. Way to pull it out. They would punch us, and we'd punch right back. It was great.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what Chris and Rick think. I know Rick put in our Discord channel.
Yeah,
Terrible coaching, right? And he's been
Yeah.
hard on Harbaugh for a lot, for the last couple of seasons since we've known him. And so I'm curious to see if that's what he was talking about.
He asked if we would trade Sean McDermott for John Harbaugh straight up, which is wild. And I said no. I know John Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl and whatnot, but I like our guys.
Well, that's the thing with Harbaugh too. When you get a ring, like, you have more wiggle room to make choices like this. So like, we're not going to fire him because he did that. You know what I mean? But like, someone else could get the boot for losing games like they did last year. We want to go for 2 instead of going to overtime. 3 different times at that end of the year last year. Yeah. But when you got like even Belichick, he could go like losing record for the next 5 years and they won't fire.
So here's a good stat, guys. I'm watching NFL Red Zone right now. It says the Bills had lost 39 straight games and trailing by 17 or more points. The Bills' win over the Ravens is the largest comeback victory, which is 17 points in Josh Allen's career. How about that? Beautiful. Round of applause for Josh.
Beautiful.
Awesome job.
And gotta give credit to Bass, his first opportunity for a game-winning field goal within the last 2 minutes of a game. So
yeah,
I mean, it was only a matter of time. We trust him so much. So I mean, it's nice to get that first game winner under the belt, I think.
Yeah, especially right after we had lost a close one last week, and it was just everyone was talking about it. But Sean, I gotta ask you, because it felt like that the Ravens went away from their game. I mean, they were having Lamar throw more than I thought they would in the second half. Like it felt like Lamar was not doing Lamar things. I mean, he always did. He made some great plays, but it felt like they weren't running him as much and taking advantage of that. Or was that just a circumstance of the defense that we put on the field in the second half?
I think it's a little bit of both. And even the announcers mentioned it a little bit. There was one play where Vaughn got a sack. He's like, they showed the pocket. Like, as soon as Lamar saw this, last year or the year before, he would have took off and got like a 50-yard run, but he stayed in the pocket and tried to make a play in the pocket, and then he ran too late and then he got sacked. So I think part of it was like he's trying to develop it into a all-around quarterback. And again, the defense really buckled down in the second half. And I mean, they get all the credit in the world for me. They're not on paper a top unit right now because the 2 20-point games the last 2 weeks, but they're easily a top 3 defense in the league, and they really showed it in that second half because he's not easy to stop. And it helped a little bit having Bateman that was hurt.
Yeah,
it was pretty helpful having him off the field. And then with Dobbins, we stifled him a bit, and Justice Hill had a couple good runs, and then unfortunately he got hurt. So hopefully he's okay also. But yeah, I think as Zebel said, the linebackers really came through the second half, and the defensive line, did a great job of containing interior pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you were a little upset at Edmonds. What were you seeing in the first half, and did he correct it in the second half?
Yeah, for the most part, he corrected it for sure, but he was like his timidness was showing and questioning. You could tell he's questioning himself and what to do. Like you see Ricard coming at you like a 400-pound fullback. You just sit there and wait. Like you can outrun him. So you got to try to not. And it wasn't just Edmonds a lot. Like there was the D-backs were waiting for blocks to get to them too. But I mean, Edmonds definitely he definitely turned the page in the second half and seemed more confident with what he was doing. So. I mean, still year 5, we're expecting him to be, lights out every game. And that's the standard I have set for him. But I mean, the fact that he was able to change, his sloppiness from the first half, it shows a lot of improvement for him. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit earlier, Milano, Oh my God, he was on an island with Lamar Jackson, and he was able to make that tackle. And 99% of the time, Lamar is going to avoid that tackle and get by him. And Lamar was upset when he was like, oh, my God, did this guy actually just tackle me?
Yeah.
That was a fantastic play.
And I like that, too, because if you guys remember the regular season game, Milano got embarrassed by a juke move, and there was a meme. I still see it today. But he came back, and then obviously it wasn't the same situation, but he made a good tackle and didn't get juked up. And then I think he redeemed himself from that one play where he broke both his ankles trying to tackle him in the pocket. So good for him.
Yeah, and on that last play, not last play, where we stopped them on fourth down. I mean, I think we were talking before the show, not after it started. But I was asking you guys who was putting the pressure on Lamar, which you guys said was Shaq Lawson, and I mean he's backing up Lamar, he's backing up, throws it off his back foot. He didn't have a lot of juice on it. But did you? I mean, what about our guy Poyer? I mean, he noticed that guy was wide open in the end zone, has enough to get over there in time. Second interception. Jordan Poyer, we love you, man. So
he's like a center fielder out there. He is so good at tracking the ball. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, him and Micah Hyde both are awesome at that. And he just 4 interceptions in 3 games now for him. I mean, it's impressive, man. You got to pay the man. I think you got to pay the man.
Yeah.
And then you got to wonder too, like as good as the rookies and Jaquan Johnson have been, would Hamlin or Johnson have had the instinct to realize that he was wide open and had the closing speed to make that play? I mean, I'm not going to say they couldn't have made it, but I think just because it's Poyer, he kind of knows. He kind of just knew. So I think him being on the field spoke volumes to the end of that game, because I mean, it showed how missing him was hard for us on those big plays. And not to take anything away from the secondary, because I mean, Mark Andrews had 2 catches, and I saw him line up against Elam a lot. So
he drew a couple flags, but 2 catches, 15 yards is pretty damn good against a premier tight end.
Yeah, they always say Kelsey's more of like he's a tight end making receiver numbers. Andrews is like that too. And when you shut down their best player with Kyer Elam and DeMar Hamlin and TJ and all these guys that we're not fully strength back there, it's impressive. And as you mentioned in the pregame show, Elam gave up 2 catches for 10 yards last week, and he probably only gave up 1 or 2 catches again today. The secondary has been incredible, and having Poyer back was a breath of fresh air for sure.
What do you think, Jake, about? I mean, we talked about this before the show, whether it was going to be Daquan Johnson or DeMar Hamlin, and it was Hamlin out there. No surprise for me. I'm thinking they wanted the more physical guy back there, but were you surprised by that at all?
No. Not in the least bit. I think just from a physicality standpoint, like you said, Mike, and based on who played better last game, I thought DeMar Hamlin really made a case for himself to be a starting safety in the league. Now, I do still think Jaquan Johnson's a dog, and he can play and he can start in this league, but just going off the hot hand, I think DeMar was the right choice. And just the physicality alone, you knew this team was going to come out. They were going to try to ground and pound, run the football. And he had, 8 tackles or something?
Yeah, he did. 8 tackles.
Good day. Not bad at all. I mean, he came up, he had to play in the run game a little bit, and I thought he did a nice job again.
Yeah, he did.
Man, I'm
very impressed.
I'm just looking at the stats on Poyer. He had 3 pass defensive and 2 picks. Unbelievable.
That's impressive alone. I mean, 3 pass deflections. That's pretty damn good. And shout out to Ian. Thank you for joining us. He was actually just here. We were watching the games together down here. So the boys just left, and they're like, hey, we'll catch the show. So pretty awesome.
Who do we got in the channel? I see lots of folks watching. Come on now. Let's share your excitement. Unless you're Baltimore fans, and again, I feel bad for you. My son, I had to console after the game, but come on, we got some people on the channel. Let's talk.
I'm going to go
who you are.
I'm going to go like the show on my channel real quick while we're talking.
Poor Chris, too. What a way to end his wedding weekend. I mean, that's a tough loss for them. To sit in the pouring rain, too, that's never fun. You knew it was going to eventually end with probably a 1-score winner,
Yeah.
So I was I'll tell you what, I mean, the resilience that we showed, the resilience that Devin Singletary showed, that Josh showed, because he didn't look necessarily great, although he wasn't getting a lot of help either. I could say probably, Sean, what'd you count? 7 drop passes or something like that?
That was just at half, wasn't it?
And that was at halftime. Yeah. So he wasn't getting a ton of help. But I didn't think he looked super sharp either. But, I'm not going to put that all on him. The offensive line was definitely struggling a lot in the first half too.
Yeah.
But I think collectively as a team, we really came together and put a full team effort in the second half. I mean, across the board, we got better at every single position group. And that is what you love to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What I was most concerned about, so first of all, we knew there was going to be rain. It felt like the hard rain kind of held off to later in the game. And I don't know if it ever did get to where it was raining hard. I don't know. I was looking at that rain. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's, it wasn't that bad, but getting a lead like that in that type of game, like they're up 20-3 with the rain. I'm like, it's so much harder to come back in a game when you have to fight the elements as well. But somehow we did it, man. Somehow we did it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It was not looking good, and as you guys know by now, the way I deal with bad football like that is I have to be extremely negative, but deep down, like I showed you that picture. My friend who's a Patriots fan, he jokes around though a lot with the Bills. Obviously, he made that post that I sent you when it was 20-3. So I screenshotted it because I knew that what was going to happen, deep down. And then I went and checked it after the game, and it was deleted. So I had the screenshot of him saying, "It's nice to see the Bills still being the Bills." And I posted, what happened? He's like, he was joking around. I was like, "Oh, you beat a running back, big deal," as a joke.
Come on.
But that's why.
Come on,
but
man.
that's why I just, this is how I function with football, because like I care so much and I know how good these guys are. And when they play, I mean, they were playing. It was really bad. It was so I wasn't totally wrong, but I do go a little overboard. I will say, but I never actually turned the TV off. I never would. I would have to be dead to turn a game off. But I mean, it's just nice to see how terrible they started, and then unlike the Bucs game, they were able to finish after being down by an enormous amount in terrible weather. Also that was like Mike said, when you're playing a running team down 20-3, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
not
In the
not
rain.
too good. Receivers can't catch the ball, and that was the main thing for me. It was like 20-3, we can catch up, but when receivers can't catch wide open passes, and
Right.
you're going 3 and out because you're running 1 yard gains and dropping passes wide open for first downs, you're like, it's gonna be real. I'll be surprised, but they came out, they made the coaching adjustments, and just how they play overall as a unit, like you said, Jake. They played on a great level from top to bottom, and even Sam Martin had a couple great punts.
How about that punt, man? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. And
That was
some
huge.
good holds. And that one fumbled snap that Josh had, I think he got a first down from it maybe. But
Almost,
like,
it was near.
I was like, oh, he's
going
gonna fall on it again. But then he picked that one up and ran. And I was like, woof.
Yeah.
But
that
yeah, I mean,
that Ravens guy, that Go Man or whatever, who was in our chat earlier, he did mention Odafe Owa, who really did play a good game. I thought he played tremendous, and he was giving Spencer Brown about all he could handle today. So, credit to him. I thought he played a really nice game today. Jason Pierre-Paul looking like he's 3 years younger.
That was a nice pick by them. Nice pick up of them.
Yeah, that was awesome. I failed to mention that in the pregame, too. I mean, that was a really good addition for the Ravens. They needed it, and they're going to get Justin Houston back, hopefully, too. So I think they'll be just fine. That's a really good football team. I got to definitely tip my cap to them, and, I feel for them because that's really tough. I mean, to give up a lead like that can never feel good.
And they're going to get a Ojabo or a Jabo in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yep.
That's why I think it was good we played them now, because you give them more opportunities for the secondary to come to their own, and then you get a Jabo back with
and that's a first
Campbell.
round talent, man. That's first round talent. What a steal for them. They did a really good job in the draft. They really got the best punter in the draft too, out of rookie punters, Jordan Stout. So another mention there.
I was hoping we were gonna go for a Jabo, but I was like, it worked out for us too. But I was like, he's gonna fall. So is there an opportunity for us to get him? But I do want to say something because this comment right here, you can't light it up each game. Remember when Shannon Sharp said, oh, Mahomes had an MVP performance against the Chargers, but he didn't have to have 400 passing yards and 5 touchdown passes and no picks. The weather condition played a huge role in this game because, I mean, Josh was 19 for 36 for 212 and a passing touchdown. At least 10 of those were drops. He only had the 50% completion, basically 51% or something. And, there's at least 8, 9, 10 drops. So if it's normal weather, that changes everything. So the fact that, I mean, if I was Josh that first half, like, what do I got to do? Nobody can catch the ball.
Yeah, right.
What do I have to do? He didn't, nobody gave up. And, as well as we were nervous, they weren't, it seemed. And they, I think he definitely earned MVP points. One reason, because you beat Lamar, who was, in the lead, in my opinion. And then you took a game with crappy conditions and nothing was going right for you. And then you came back and you mounted a 20-point comeback to win the game. So I think that was, as rough as it seemed on paper for most people, it was still an MVP performance for me, in my opinion. I don't know.
The little things too, Sean. I mean, that doesn't show on a stat sheet. Just how he was able to command this win. I mean, he really, really he took full control of it. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, they had the rain affected them as well. They had a few drops.
Oh yeah.
There was some calls that were kind of like iffy. For instance, I don't know about you guys, but that roughing the passer call against Josh.
That's ticky tack.
We got lucky there, but I mean, how many? So I thought McKenzie got hit early, and it should have been a flag, and then Poyer hit them way early, and they didn't get a flag. So that offset for me, but as soon as we got that roughing the passer, I was like, I don't agree with it. But then all my friends were like, that was a BS call, and it. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, how many times do we get screwed over out of stuff in games?
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. It's football, and usually they balance out, right? But I did think that was an interesting one.
And then I said also, I was like, there was one play, the Ravens can still stop them, but they didn't. So I mean, it was one play that gave 15 yards. But they had 3 more opportunities in that next drive to stop them and hold them to no points, and they didn't. So, I mean, it was a bad call, but the Bills still did what they had to do, and then they, got the 3 points and won.
Yeah, that running game was so good for Baltimore in the first half. And your boy, what's his name, the fullback for the Ravens? Oh, my God. It's not even fair.
He's so big, dude. Oh, my God. He's so slow, though. It's funny to watch him catch the ball and run.
But, I mean, just run behind that guy and you're going to get yardage. That's your guy.
I mean, that's a D tackle converted to fullback. Yeah, Patrick Ricard. He is a human wrecking ball. I mean, one of my favorite fullbacks to watch in the league. It is really, it's awesome. I mean, you want to talk about tough, hard-nosed, gritty football. This is your guy as a lead blocker, as a short yard guy. He can even catch the ball a little bit. I mean, it's a special player in him. I'll tell you, they really got a gem in him. Originally coming in the league as a D tackle out of Maine. Small 1AA school, and then they find a way to get him involved offensively, and it's just awesome to see. So they got a good one in him for sure.
Yeah, he may be slow, but he's very athletic and got pretty good hands. And then he just runs downhill, and if you hit him in his legs, he'll fall over.
Yeah, he put on a clinic.
He's a mammoth of a man, and I just think about it. It's like imagine you bring in an extra tackle, and then you have him at fullback, so you basically got 7 or 8 offensive linemen out there blocking.
I know, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point, Seabell. Panicking when the momentum shifts one way or the other is how you lose games. Heck, we just saw that with the Ravens. Bills got some momentum. The Ravens panicked and tried throwing more. And that's what kind of was saying. They got away from what they do best. And in a raining situation, I felt they went away from Lamar running the ball more. So that was interesting. I want to say, first of all, I did want to say, and before I forget, I don't usually get predictions even close. I'm usually wrong. I might get the win or the loss, but I'm proud of myself. I actually predicted a 27-24 win.
That was pretty good,
the
Mike.
Bills, and I
Close
said we're going to get a 1 score. So it was a 3-point game, pretty damn close. And I said, let's get that monkey off our back with those losing the last 7 1-score games. So awesome. I think you had it as a 1-score game, Jake. I think you had.
I had it as a 1-score game as well, yeah. But I had 31-25. I thought it was going to be a weird score for the Ravens just because of the rainy conditions. Maybe like a 2-point conversion gets thrown into the mix, or like a missed extra point or something like that. I mean, but you got to know better. Justin Tucker doesn't miss anything, although he did miss a few kicks against us in the playoffs, and
which was huge.
A couple moments, yeah.
But pregame I had 31-30. Halftime prediction, I said Ravens 35, Bills 17. if they played like that in the second half, like they did in the first half. But I mean, I was thinking like you, Jake, a 31-point game, and and that's what stinks about like weather affecting this game.
Yeah,
it's because like you were going to see the top 2 quarterbacks in the league battle it out, and then they still battled it out, but not as like what you thought it would be. It was still a battle, obviously, still 2 MVP candidates going against each other. But,
that's going to be a topic of the week, too. It's going to be one of those, like, other type of secondary topics that comes into play where we have all the people that really want to dome, or only dome matchups where Every single stadium has to be a dome, so you get the perfect weather conditions. So there's no excuse about, hey, we it was too warm, too cold. Oh, maybe it was raining, maybe it was snowing. And I'm sorry, that's just not football. Listen, football is made to be played in the elements. And I sound so old school saying this, but when you're a little kid growing up, how much fun was it to go out and play in the rain? Slide in the mud, get after it a little bit. Play in the snow. I love that. And maybe I'm a psychopath for feeling that way, but man, I'll sit out in the rain any day of the week for a football game. I don't care.
I love it too. I just want them to be able to catch the ball still.
Fair enough.
But like you said, it's fun, man. I mean, when I went to that Texans game last year, it poured the whole time. So that, as far as the clothes, my wife didn't really have fun because she was wearing like a leather jacket and it got pretty
She didn't dress for the occasion.
No, but she enjoyed. We all had fun, but it's just like you start thinking like, man, I really miss playing in this.
Yeah,
it's so.
It is different when you're playing. That's true.
Yeah, it's so fun to get down and dirty and you feel like you're getting hydrated by the rain coming down on you. And you're just
great,
like, this feels good. But
yeah.
I do want to say one thing before you move on, Mike. I'm getting really frustrated that they keep suiting up 5 wide receivers, especially when at least one of them is questionable every week. We got to start bringing out 6 because we got lucky here, but McKenzie looked like he got knocked unconscious. I think he did, but luckily he got back up, and I was worried about him. Of course I worry about him before anything else, his health. So when I saw him run off the field, that's amazing. But then Crowder's already hurt, and you got 3 wide receivers, and then your playbook starts to shorten up because you can't run. I guess you could put Gilliam or Motor in the, in a wide receiver position, but it's nice to have people that can take a break. And I think we need to put 6 out there because, as we see every week, we put 4 running backs, and we hardly use them at all. Like James Cook had one catch opportunity, he dropped it.
Not good.
Moss had 3 carries. It's just it's not worth putting out 4 running backs, I don't think, because you see our receivers are getting hurt every week, and then you got to run out with 3. And if one of them gets hurt, then what do you do?
Yeah,
I think we need to run 6 receivers every week. That's just my opinion, and it's frustrating that they didn't do it again this week.
Yeah, you definitely thought Isaiah Hodgins was going to get the call up, and I kind of surprised by that too. I agree. But how about Khalil Shakir? That's awesome.
Just say,
great.
Brian Label, thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, you could ask my wife; she'd probably say the same thing. There's a million other reasons why I'm an absolute psychopath. So, absolutely, man. Listen, I live and breathe it. It's the best thing in the world. Just got to be a football guy for life. That's just my calling, I guess.
Yeah, what about Khalil Shakir? Not only did he have those 2 catches, but he had we were joking let's get Khalil out there, just not expect him to make a block, but he made a block, a huge block. Was Knox and Khalil, I think, on a nice little side route or just a little screen pass to Singletary, and he turned it up, and that was only because of those 2 guys making a great block. Khalil, we know the guy has hands, and it's been frustrating to not see him getting out there on the field, but there he was. When he was called upon, he made the play. I mean, what more can you ask?
Yep. That's a 5th-round rookie, too. So I feel pretty good about that. I would like to see a little bit more. And I know he was sort of forced into the lineup a little bit more because Jamison Crowder also left the game. So that hurts a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. 5th rounder, but a lot of people had him earlier, right? We got a steal there. So
steal.
I think his first action was a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and he missed a block or something like that. He probably went in the doghouse for a little bit, but we know what this kid can do. So we saw it in preseason, and if you watch Boise State, this guy has hands. He'll catch the ball, and he made a nice play. Nice play. I think it was. Was that a big 3rd down play when they threw?
Yeah, it was.
He made a nice little juke on that. Fantastic.
And he held on to the ball, which was what I was most concerned about all the rest of the day. Now I see people run from behind. I'm just like, I always scrunch up. I'm like, no. Sometimes you don't know someone's coming from behind, but huge play for him. And when a wide receiver can block, that's just it makes a lineman guy just so happy to see. And it's big. It's a big part of a run game too. Honestly, I mean, if you got receivers that can block, it just helps even more. But 2 great catches for him. Kumaro wasn't out there, and Crowder got hurt, and then he came in his few opportunities, like you said, Mike, and he did a good job.
Yeah.
Hopefully see more of him.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, when you go to a big game like this and you learn at the last minute that Ed Oliver's inactive, you're like, oh my God, you're going, because the middle did a good job. They made some changes later on, but initially that middle was, they were running on us. But it's nice to get a win and like, good, we got another week of rest for Phillips, another week of rest for Oliver. Although I don't know what's going on with Oliver because it feels like every week he's practicing, and then he's inactive. So I hope he's not setting himself back. But it just feels good at the end of the game to have that. Now we're like, all right, okay, so it'll be interesting. Trey White, 4 games are up. When do we start seeing him come back?
This month for sure, maybe, right?
But potentially, I think Sean. I think you were talking about one of our shows. You actually said that we'd see him around week 6, maybe after the bye week. I think you were saying something like that. So that's a real potential.
At the latest, sure, absolutely. Because to be honest, I thought he could have played sooner. Because some people you see they have shorter ACL, time spans when they can play. But when I figured out it was gonna be the first 4 weeks for sure, I say by week 6, just because you gotta start getting him into game shape. And I'm assuming he's not gonna play the whole game. Like now that we can rely on these corners we got, I don't think Trey needs to play every game right away. He could play in it, but not because it's a lot of torque and twisting, and you just got to get him ready in the game shape, and it's gonna be so great to have him back, just on the field too. He's just such a powerful leader, and then having that Oliver back will be nice, and it's really good. Like you said, you can win games without some of your best players, and then it's like, oh, now I don't have to worry. We got like the Cowboys are doing with Cooper Rush. They're like, oh, we're 3-0 with Cooper Rush. Yeah, we thought we could be 0-4 without Dak. Now we can take a breath.
It's a breather. Yeah.
Right. So, hopefully, we got to get Oliver back because he's a huge staple of the defense. Of course, Phillips is too. He's a monster. But, I love what Prince Emili did today, 3 tackles and then that pass deflection. Practice squad guy like you guys already mentioned, but coming out and making plays in a big game, good for him.
Yeah. How about a great story, too? His parents didn't want him to play football. His dad's a doctor. He went to Penn. It's just cool story, man. I love seeing stuff like that. So I'm very happy for him. That's awesome to see, And he was definitely a guy that they talked a lot about during the preseason. They were very impressed with his performance. So glad to see him kind of getting rotated in there. Again, we just have so much depth, and that's a beautiful thing to have in this type of situation. Now, going back to Trey White, I actually wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that. So this next game, we're playing Pittsburgh, looking ahead. So do you think we sit him another week? Because technically now 4 weeks are up. Do we sit him for the Pittsburgh game and then get him in the game for the Kansas City game following that? I feel like that might be logical.
For me, I definitely sit him. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you risk that when you have, our guys have been doing fantastic. Shockingly, we went into the season worrying about our corners, and oh my God, all of a sudden now you're looking at our corners like when we get healthy. Damn, we got a nice secondary. We got Xavier Rhodes backing us up now as well when he comes back. But great to see Dane Jackson out there again. God, just 2 weeks ago, looked like this guy might be out for the season.
It's unbelievable.
And now he is back in the game. And much respect for Dane Jackson. So glad to see him out there, and he did a fantastic job for sure.
Plays today.
Yep.
So what do you think, Sean?
I might want to play him just a little bit just to get his feet back in it before Kansas City. But I think they're going with Pickett now. They benched Trubisky after half. So, Pickett's a rookie. He's got an arm, but that Steelers offense is terrible. So I think we can go another week without having to put Trey in. But I think it might be nice just to get him some movement out there, a few plays,
confidence,
couple drives.
Yeah.
But then you could start him maybe in the Kansas City game or give him more playing time. But this is a game, the Steelers game. They got a great defense, but offensively, this is a game where we should do pretty solid. So I think we can afford to, if they decide not to play him, we can afford that. But I think, in my opinion, I would just maybe want him to play a little bit just to get his movement going back on the field and see how he looks and how he feels out there,
Yeah, I want to ask you guys, I don't want to get into it too much, but TJ Watt, how long is he out for, right? He had that torn muscle.
Yeah.
He comes back the week after us. He comes back.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, right. How about JJ Watt? Did you see that?
No.
The info that leaked on him. So he tweeted it out, and he said there was some personal information that had leaked out, and he said he had gone into AFib on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
And apparently, there was something going on, but he's still going to play. I mean, that's a football guy through and through.
Oh,
I mean,
my
he's
God.
coming out and tweeting that. Guy goes into AFib and he's playing in the game. I mean, that's unbelievable. Crazy.
That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, very scary.
I love this from Brian Label.
Yeah,
Player of the
awesome.
game is Sam Martin. His punt 5 yards shorter, and they score a touchdown. That's so good.
That's right. He's
love
right.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go around the horn. I mean, we've been talking about all the stuff that happened, but let's compare. We talked about the big MVPs going at it. Two of the folks, the quarterbacks in the race for MVP. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson was getting the better of it in the first half. Josh turned around. I'll throw some numbers out there. Josh Allen, 19 for 36, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was sacked once, and had a quarterback rating of 68.4. Lamar, 20 of 29, 144 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked twice, and he had a quarterback rating of 63. So probably, you got to give the edge a little bit to Josh, because not only that, Josh Allen ran the ball 11 times for 70 yards and a touchdown, and Lamar Jackson ran it for 11 for 73 yards, 3 more yards, but no touchdown. So in this battle here, I mean, Josh takes
2
the
kneel
lead a
downs.
little bit.
2 kneel downs
Yeah,
too, Mike.
true,
So Josh
true.
technically outrushed Lamar. How about that?
I know, right? That is crazy.
Pretty good. Pretty
There's
good.
my dad. So, my dad's
Bill?
out there, and he's like, man, I hope I was wrong. Remember when we did our schedule preview, my dad had us lose in the 3 of the first 4 games, had us at 1-3.
Yeah.
He had us
Keeping
finishing
humble.
strong.
I like it.
But man, he's super happy now that they pulled this one out. So anyhow, talk to me about those. I'm sure in your opinion, I know Sean, you had said, I think I saw it on your show, on your pregame show. You said right now that Lamar is your leading MVP. Is that still true?
No, and like I said, it's because I know when they look at MVPs, like when they grade, they go head to head also, and Josh beat him, and then the 2 picks obviously is worse than 1 pick, but I mean when it came down to it, they didn't do anything in the second half offensively, and then when they were about to do stuff, he turned the ball over, and then he had some great plays, and he's still an MVP, but I think Josh has the edge on him now, just because of how this game ended up being, and again the weather attributed to a lot of the mistakes in the game. Josh wouldn't have had a 50% completion percentage if there wasn't 12 drops or 10 drops. And, Lamar had a couple of drops on that could have been first downs and, here and there. But I think Josh edges him out for sure. And when you look at it, Josh, his last opportunity brought down to a field goal, won the game. Lamar's last opportunity, interception.
Yeah.
So not that Lamar is not in the conversation still for people listening. Of course, he's obviously number 2 now for me, but these 2 are going to be battling it out all year, in my opinion, because Rodgers, Brady, Father Time's catching up to them, as you can see on the field. And, I think it's honestly between Allen, Lamar, and then Mahomes third, of course, because you can't rule him out.
Nope.
But Allen's got the edge, in my opinion.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, 100% agree. I definitely think Josh Allen has the edge on the MVP race. But, yeah, I just want to talk about Matt Milano. I was so impressed with his play today. The open field tackling was tremendous. 2 TFLs. I mean, he came to play. He was attacking the ball. As Ben mentioned, if Tremaine Edmonds attacked the ball like Matt Milano did, he'd be all world.
Yeah,
I mean, just what he's been able to do. I mean, this is a 5th-round draft pick, guys. He came into this league overlooked, kind of undersized. No one really knew where to put him. Do you play him in middle? Do you play him outside? His coverage skills weren't great at first. Then he sort of, look at him now. I mean, he's all technically should have like 2 pick sixes this year. He's an awesome linebacker, man. He's one of the best in the business, and 13 tackles again today, 2 TFLs, like I mentioned. Just an awesome football player, and he really was the difference maker on that defense. He was the heart and soul today, in my opinion.
To me, it feels like he's the middle linebacker. It really is.
Yeah, it does. It honestly does.
It should be too.
And maybe, I mean, Jake, you've said it, like, Edmonds isn't playing his natural position what he played in college. Maybe they shake it up. Maybe they put Matt in the middle, but and put Edmonds out there on the edge or on the side. I don't know.
The only issue is Tremaine, and I listen, great big body guy, super athlete, like just everything you'd want in a football player, but he just he doesn't crave contact. He doesn't do what Jim Harbaugh said. The body craves contact. Mike Tremaine Edmonds, for whatever reason, doesn't crave contact. He's afraid. He would not be good on the edge. I don't think that's the position for him, unfortunately. Even though he's got the size, the speed, everything you'd want, it's just not for him. So I think it's either you play him at outside linebacker and just have him play sort of what Matt Milano's been playing, or you keep him in the middle. The nice part about him being in the middle is that he's such a big body. So you have these guys crossing, and it kind of distracts the quarterback a little bit. So there is that. I just think he needs to rely a little bit more. Like, his instincts take him to where the ball is, but he just doesn't finish. That's all he needs to do is just officially finish a play. And he did a little bit today in the second half. He definitely impressed me a little bit more. Just the first half was an atrocity for him, for sure.
Yeah. It's just tough because, like I repeat it every time we talk, it's year 5, and he has the potential to be this top linebacker, and it's like he holds himself back for some reason, and I don't know why. Obviously we don't see what the coaches do, but it's like this is so easily fixable, and it's never fixed, and I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I mean, Milano is he's just on another level. He's such a great player, and he keeps this defense going, and with the absence of Hyde and, when Poyer's missing, you could really tell that Milano kind of takes his field over, and he still does when they're on the field, but he's very important. And, we saw it last year too, when he missed some games. It was rough. He comes back and he's 100% healthy, and he almost had another interception today too, but Andrews made a good play.
Yeah.
He towers
crazy
over him. It's just a tough play, but he
was Devin Duvernay, man.
He was there
big development
to make that play. So, Edmonds, he can cover, he can tackle. He's not afraid to tackle. He's exactly what a linebacker, how I preach what a linebacker is supposed to be. And if only Edmonds could do that too, then it's gonna be hard to do anything against us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what's the injury that Kirk's talking about for Edmonds? I know he was hurt last year with a couple of games. Is that what's that? Because other than that, I can't recall any other injuries.
I want to say it was like a hamstring, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was a hammy. Yeah, it was. It was a lingering hamstring, and it just. I agree. I think I don't know. I feel like he still has the explosiveness. It just maybe it is lacking a little bit from that hammy injury. I mean, typically when you have a hamstring injury, you definitely lose a little bit of that. So could be for sure.
Oh, and I heard you guys talking off air about what was wrong with Poyer. I just saw before I came on, he got the wind knocked out of him on the pick. So
okay.
He's good.
Okay.
He just he got hit in a weird spot, but it's with Edmonds, it seems like he's scared to get hurt. It's like he doesn't want to get in the grit of everything because he's afraid. Again, if I met him one-on-one and he wanted to fight, he'd kick my ass. But it seems like when he's on the field, he's afraid to get in it. He's afraid to. He sees a
afraid to get dirty,
blows him up, and then lays a stick. I mean, he hits hard when he can, but it seems like he's not ferocious enough, as I always like to say, like Milano is. Milano is like, I got 5 yards to sprint ahead and lay this dude out. I'm gonna do it. And then Tremane's like, I'm gonna sit back here and bounce a little bit. Now Lamar ran for 10 yards. Now I'm gonna chase after him.
Yeah, Milano, I mean, even last week against Dolphins was filling the holes, one-on-one with a running back, making tackles, one-on-one with Lamar. I mean, it's insane. I've always been impressed with Milano, but this game just took him to another level for me, at least. Unbelievable. Super impressive.
So lucky with his contract.
Yeah.
He was such a good sport.
Thank God, man. Great job locking him up last year. I love that Brandon Beane did that. That's awesome. It's giving me flashbacks a little bit of London Fletcher. Actually, Uncle Jay was texting me during the game, Mike, and he was saying reminds him a lot of London Fletcher. Different type of stature, but kind of similar in their play type because they're both very good coverage linebackers, and they just fly to the ball. Wherever the ball's at, they're going to be there.
Yeah, Edmonds, just to finish it off with Edmonds, guy's in a contract year. He's got a stellar defensive line, the best defensive line he's had in front of him, and they're not even fully healthy yet. I mean, but still, all the guys that started today, all the guys that have started since week 1, we said early in the season when we kicked off our first, if he doesn't have a stellar season, he's just not going to ever get there because there's no better opportunity to be in a contract year with the line that he has in front of him to make more plays. I do see that. I mean, it does seem he's last game as well. it seems like in the second half he's making more plays. It's almost like someone talks to him like, dude, you need to be more aggressive, get in the backfield, make some plays. And he's made a few of those. But yeah, I don't know what's going on, but there's still time. It's early in the season. We got to win. Yeah. Let's go. We need him. There's no one we have to replace him right now. So we'll ride and die with him until, wherever the season takes us.
And hey, it may work out in our favor if they, because the streets were saying no matter what, we're not going to keep him. But if he does not, do what they're expecting, maybe he doesn't demand as much money, and then we're able to get him on a cheaper deal, and then in year 6, then he makes all those changes, and then another good deal. Then we got another good deal, but I mean, it's so, as you said, it's so frustrating. But we can move on from Edmonds. We talk about him too much.
Yeah, we do. We do. We just want. We know how good he is. We want the best for him. Absolutely. We got Koss in there, like saying, "Who won?" I don't know if he means because we're talking bad about Edmonds. Not at all. We're just we know he has so much more. And we won, by the way, if you're not aware. The Bills won.
It's always great when you can nitpick things after a win.
Exactly,
it's always the best.
We're still in second in the division, but now we're even with Miami and win. The Jets had a great. They're tough. They're tough, man. They're a gritty football team. It seems like they go good game, bad game, good game, bad game, and their defense did terrible last week against the Browns, and then Pittsburgh. As somebody mentioned earlier, they got some weapons, but it's the quarterback and the offensive line that holds them back. And Breece Hall had a touchdown. It was like 10 seconds left.
Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it?
It was definitely a questionable. I think he got over, but I see how you could argue that. But the Jets aren't going to just lay down for us. So they're another team that's tough. And I don't know what's the Patriots-Packers score right now.
14-10 Green Bay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Wow.
I was just looking at that because I was trying to see in England. Because in our predictions and our season prediction, we actually had the Jets being taken over the New England as far as the wins. I think so. So interesting. But that's a tight game. Nobody still early in that game. It's actually 6:54 and a third left to go. Zach, good question. No, my son and I, we watched it in the same room. It was, he was shocked how loud I get, but he was giving it right back to me. And then at the end, when it broke his heart. So I had to go console him a little bit and then take him out for get him a shake, make him feel better. He loves shakes, loves chocolate shakes. So we took him out there. And again, he's like, yeah, Dad, okay, I guess I'm all right. I mean, my second favorite team won.
He's a good sport.
He was crying. And it breaks my heart, but I'm like, dude, I feel it.
You were like, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That would have been me. I mean, inside, I may not show the tears on the outside, but when the Bills lose, it hurts. And I know you guys take it hard too. And as a little kid who's so passionate about his team, it's good to see. I'm a proud papa, and we'll get him over to the Bills. I mean, he keeps seeing these kind of wins.
Yeah, he'll get there.
But when he does represent the Bills, when the Ravens aren't in there, he's the best Bills fan you've ever seen. So amazing stuff there. Well, let's talk about. So we talked about the MVPs. Let's talk about the running game. So the running game was non-existent in the first half, right? It was like, oh my God, here we go again. They turned it around a little bit, and we ended up with 125 yards rushing overall. Josh had 70 of those. It seemed like Singletary got it going in the second half with 11 for 49, averaging 4.5 yards. It's not bad. And then Moss had 3 for 6, but. Anyhow, let's talk about that running game. Horrible in the first. It's like, where is this running game? Where is it? So, Sean, I'll start with you. I mean, what's going on?
Well, I mean, I think I was on with you guys, but when I mentioned how it might have been just Jake.
The Deion Dawkins thing. Yeah.
I questioned Dawkins. Like, it seems like you guys can't run the ball. And he's like, I'm going to correct you. We're asked to pass more. If we were asked to run more, we'd run block. And if we're asked to pass block, we pass block. And it doesn't sound like it's saying a lot, but there's a lot of truth to it, because if you don't really run, you're not going to be excellent at run blocking. Yeah, you know how to do it. Oh, I know. I got to seal this guy off this play. But if it's not what you're primarily doing, the offensive lineman can't get into a groove. And then, like I said, receivers blocking is huge in running game too. And we just do it at wrong times. Like 3rd and 1. Obviously, you're going to run the ball, get stuffed every time, and like, it's just, we're not a good inside running team. So we always decide to do that. And then, first down at the 50, you run the ball, get stuffed for no gain. So I think it's more of just wrong timing and then not doing it enough for the offensive line to get into a groove as well. And Singletary's he can make something out of nothing. But out of those 11 carries, I think 5 of them they went nowhere as soon as the play started. So I mean, it's tough when the blocking is not there, but they're capable. It's just they don't do it enough. You do it once every 10 plays, you can't really get into a groove. But then the problem is when you start to run the ball twice in a row and you get no gain, then you're screwed. Then you got to do 3rd and 10. You got to try to get a first down when you're at the 25. So it's I think it's more of just not running enough. And I think you need to stick to just use Singletary in the run game, and then don't just run up the middle with Zach Moss every time. Use him and Cook more in the pass game, and then work in the jet sweeps with Crowder and McKenzie. And then it's just not simple. Oh, just run up the middle every time. That's easy to defend. You got to throw different wrenches in it to confuse the defense. And then maybe once you could do jet sweeps and stuff, then you can do fakes with a jet sweep and then run the zone. And then it confuses the defense, and then you can run the ball a little bit better. But I think they're just fine with passing the ball 90% of the time and then throwing out runs just to keep a defense honest. I just think that's how they want to play it.
Let me ask you this, because Tom Brady has to be the best 3rd and 1 quarterback in the league with a quarterback sneak, right? I mean, how does he do this, and why are we not using Josh Allen in that situation? 3rd and 1, you're 245 pounds. I don't know what's going on. That should be
especially
easy
today,
get, right?
However, I will say that was a big first down we got at the end of the game with Josh Allen on the QB sneak. So that was that was great to see, because that essentially just put us in full control of the game. And I think Marcus Peters was jawing a little bit with the coaches. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, what happened there?
He was pissed off. They wanted to let them score. They wanted to let them score because basically what would happen is we score a touchdown. They still have a minute and some odd seconds left to score for their team.
Timeout.
Yeah. And how about that challenge that they lost?
Yeah.
That was huge, because that only gave them 2 timeouts going into the 4th quarter. So that was monstrous for them. Yeah. But, I would agree, Mike. I think there's some situations where you just assume it should be a QB sneak and we get an easy first down. But then we go shotgun and we try to run a draw play or a zone play or something, and it just doesn't work. And I can't understand it either. Is it a hesitation to go under center? I mean, Mitch Morse was back. He actually looked okay today. So I'm not really sure what the deal is there. And, I mean, Josh is already running as it is. Why not just QB sneak him on a 3rd and 1? It doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, Zach asked, when is Cook going to shake his jitters? I'll tell you what, Singletary got 90-something yards to Cook's 0 yards. So, Jake, right now, I bet I'm feeling good about it. I feel like I'm going to be eating really well.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. Why he's dropped the ball 3 times. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but it's like any of us who've played sports, right? And especially when you get on a new team, you got to make the most of your opportunities. And I've thrown the ball to you 3 times, all catchable passes, and you drop it, and then you fumble your first touch ever. I don't know, man. That's, I know Rick was calling you out, Jay, because he's like, I think he put in the Discord channel that he was calling Cook a bust. He's like, I'm gonna bring it to Jake if this guy turns out to be a bust, because you've been talking him up so much.
Oh, I have been. Listen, I'll own it. I think but the thing is, when he does catch the ball or he does get the ball in his hand, he's shown glimpses that he can be a good ball player. I think it's just a matter of the more reps you get, the better. And I get making the most of your opportunities. But, I mean, when you only get 2 plays a game, it's tough. And then, on top of that, you get 2 drop passes. So terrible, too. And Bill, hey, I know. Your guy Brees scoring the game-winning touchdown today, too, for the Jets. How about that? That's wild.
I will say, though, Bill, even if we had Brees, it's like they're never going to switch to a 50-50 team with Josh Allen at quarterback. That's just how it is. And that's why it's so hard to – are we ever going to get a great run game? I don't think so, because we're such a pass-heavy team. And you got Josh Allen, so they're like, oh, I don't want to run. So we could have got Brees Hall. He's still going to get 3 carries a game. So it's like, I don't know.
You're also only as good as your offensive line will take you. Like, when Devin Singletary hits that next level, I think he's super effective because he runs hard, he's able to shed tackles, and he does have a little bit of a burst. But the second he runs the football up the middle and he hits a wall, he's done. And anyone would be. Zach Moss, every single time he runs the football, runs right into a wall. So it's the same type of deal. But the difference is when you get to that second level, what they can do with it. And I do think Devin Singletary possesses the ability to be a game changer in that sense.
Yes.
And he showed a little bit of that today.
I love Motor, dude. And Moss, he has a lot of promise, but
yeah,
I just think you gotta run with Motor, and then you got to pick every week. Do you want Moss or Cook? Because it's just not doing us any good, I don't think. I mean, you're trying to split touches with 3 running backs, and then you got 5 receivers, and then again, Gabe's always questionable, and that because of his ankle, and then you get an injury, then you got 4 players, and then you can't. Things change. You got to have at least 6, and then you got to go to practice. Who earned this week's start or to suit up, Cook or Moss? Oh, Cook didn't earn it. Maybe next week, kid. Oh, Moss, you didn't earn it. You got to get better. We expect more from you. Because with Taiwan Jones being the special teams ace, you're guaranteed that's a running back spot.
Yeah.
And we don't run enough to warrant having 4 running backs on the starting 53 on the starting for the game for suiting up. Because 11 carries and then Moss had 3. That's 14 carries between 3 running backs.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I mean, that's what it's going to be every game. I can't see us unless we're out to a 31-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. I don't foresee a running back ever really getting to that 20 carry mark. We're not going to have that bell cow back. That's just not the type of offense we are. And I don't think we're asking for that. I think we're just asking for the capability to run the football when we need to be able to just take a little bit of pressure off of Josh. It would just be a nice to have thing, not so much a necessity where we want a guy like Derrick Henry who's going to run the ball 25 times a game. We don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that. I just want someone that's, able to take advantage of the opportunities, be able to have a nice hole to run through in front of them when we need to. But it just seems to be, it's like very inconsistent. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. And I think that's something that's going to come with time. I think the offensive line is still getting their chemistry together too, especially with line calls and whatnot. I mean, every week we have a different offensive lineman that's injured too. So I think there's a little bit of everything in the mix there,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry, Mike.
I just wanted to jump in, Z-Bell. We're not saying he's a bust at all.
No,
it's our friend Rick. He's on the Fantasy Football Show and he's on our golf show. And of course, Jake and I just have a little bit of fun because we have a bet on it.
Yeah.
But Rick, I mean, if you're in the Discord, Jake has always been talking up Cook all the time. And so, Rick's just having a little fun with it, saying, I'm going to, if he's a bust, I can't, I'm going to let Jake have it. So there's no way he's a bust. Obviously, it's week 4. But
not even close.
But Z-Bell, he does. How do you get on the field more? Take advantage of your opportunities. And that's all he needs to do. I mean, Zach Moss isn't doing much. So if he can just take advantage of his opportunities, unfortunately, I don't want to see an injury for the reason that he comes in, but he's going to get some more opportunities. He's going to make plays. Absolutely. You're right. He's got some jitters. I don't know what it is. He'll shake those soon.
Oh, yeah. And the O-line, I say by the halfway point, they're going to have especially if everyone can stay healthy, I think they'll get all the bumps and aches out of the road because they have had their moments of good and have their moments of bad. But I mean, the only reason why I'm saying you got to decide between 3 running backs is because if the third running back that you suited up, not counting Taiwan Jones, had 2 plays, why would you rather not have a receiver like Hodgins or Kumaro as a 6th receiver to do more? Because that's what we do more. So God forbid, that game against Miami, Diggs was off the field on important drives because he cramped up. Mm-hmm. You already lost Kumaro, and then Crowder was a little. Someone else was banged up, and it's just like, now you're thin.
You got Reggie Gilliam out wide, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but we don't want a fullback lining out wide. I'm sorry.
You don't want a 260-pound muscle man.
This is me saying this too. So listen, I get it.
Yeah,
he's a tremendous athlete, but you can't have that.
Yeah, and I'm not just trying to preach it to get Hodgins playing time, but you gotta want to give him some playing time because he's about to be in a contract year. He basically is. You got to sign him soon, and he's had no snaps of play, and mainly because of injury. But we always ran 6 and 7 receivers, and now you're running 5.
Yeah, it is weird.
Just the fact that Gabe is questionable every week. Why would you not run 6?
Yeah.
It's not smart, and especially because you don't ever use the third running back too much.
Yeah, and it happened today. I mean, we had McKenzie get hurt, we had Crowder get hurt, and now we're down to Khalil, and he came in and was fantastic. But you're right. It would be nice to have it. It seems like since we are that passing team, why activate a guy that you're only going to have in there for 2 plays? I don't even know if he saw the field after that one play. I don't know if you guys saw it. I mean, he was on the field for at least once. I don't know how many other snaps he saw. I'll have to check PFF on that one. But anyhow, fantastic. Again, this is a celebration. I know we're going around, we're talking about some things, but these are things that we need to fix going forward, right? I mean, obviously, if we're a Super Bowl team, Super Bowl teams win games like this. They win games like last week. Sometimes they lose them, but we came back. What an incredible game, down 20-3. Almost, we fire back with a touchdown at the end of the half, 20-10. We come back, turn it around in the rain. Fantastic. So we're just going through our team here, talking about it. This is all good. There's nothing, these are just things we want to see them clean up because we have some big teams ahead of us coming up, right? We got KC. We got Green Bay. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot of good teams we have on our schedule.
Don't sleep on any team, honestly, because you just never know. This year in the NFL, it's been so weird.
It's a great time when you can, be super happy about a win, but then you still have to be talkative about, things that need to be changed and things that could be better, because it's not always, sunshine and rainbows, like Rocky said, and especially today wasn't, because, considering the first half we had, and then being so thin at wide receiver, it just doesn't make sense to me. But we're all very happy about the win. Just to see a comeback like that, we hate close games, of course, because it makes your heart race more and you get more anxious and shaky. But when you actually see them step up, when you thought, well, at least I thought it wasn't looking good for them, they all stepped up collectively, coaches, everybody, and then Tyler Bass gets his first game-winning field goal. Sam Martin holding a ball in the rain isn't easy.
Yeah, tremendous.
So perfect snaps, perfect holds. Bass did amazing with those 3 for 3 on the kicks, and then, awesome for the kid to get his game winner. I love when he trots out there. He's small, but he walks out there like he's big, like he owns the place.
Yeah.
And then that's good, because playoff time, when you got a 55-yard field goal or a 60-yard field goal to win for a playoff game or a Super Bowl, I want that guy going out there every time, and I will not be questioning it ever. I will never doubt Tyler Bass to kick a field goal ever. So.
Yeah, I was saying to you guys in the chat that we have, a group chat, extra points were super important. Field goals in this rain, not a given, and neither team made a mistake in the kicking game. But Zach has a question. Name the last Super Bowl winning team that featured a fullback, though.
Was Anthony Sherman on that Chiefs winning Super Bowl team? I think he was. So that's, 3 years ago. I think Anthony Sherman was on that team. I want to say he was. Well, I might be incorrect there.
Well, technically, the Pats kind of run with a fullback, too.
Jakob Johnson. Yeah, unbelievable, man. He's on the Raiders now, but yeah.
But he is saying the last Super Bowl team, winning team.
Right, winning team. I would say, is it Kansas City? Did they have Anthony Sherman on that 2020 squad where they beat San Fran? I'm not sure if they did or not, or that would have been 2020, right?
Your dad's comment is how I feel every time I watch a game.
I know. Today's game was a true test for his pacemaker. Yep, for sure.
Well, I get Zach's point, though. I mean, you go back, you look at history, how many teams really do feature a fullback. Listen, it's always good to have a guy like that, though. This could be the year that we see a team featuring a fullback win a Super Bowl. You never know. Yeah. Probably not going to happen. It's all good.
Hey, guys, go ahead, keep talking. I think my little boy's calling me for something I have to go check on. But go through the receiving core and then tight ends if I'm not back. I'll be right back, though.
You got it. Yeah, it's very interesting with the receiving core, Sean. I think you make a really good point of, only suiting up 5 guys, because we saw Jamison Crowder leave the game. We saw Isaiah McKenzie leave the game. And now, again, we're thin. And I will say this, going into the season, I was okay with not having Isaiah Hodgins on the active roster, because I just felt like the amount of time that he'd get, it wasn't going to be meaningful anyways. But now you have all these guys dropping like flies. I mean, if we had Isaiah Hodgins and, for today's game, he would have gotten into the game and he could have maybe made a catch or two, an impactful play. So I do agree with you in the sense that we should probably dress 6 at least moving forward, just because of so many injuries that we have. And you got to ask the question, do we dress Zach Moss or James Cook? Because Taiwan Jones is going to be a healthy guy. He's going to be playing as long as he's healthy. I mean, yeah. So as long as Taiwan Jones is healthy, he will be playing because he's our special teams ace.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like I said, it's just tough because you got the 2 tight ends, you got the 4 running backs, and then now you're making the choice, but then they don't anticipate injuries, and then
Right.
God forbid Diggs ever gets hurt, and then someone else, and then you got Gabe Davis already with a banged up ankle, and I said, what do? You need players to fit what you do the best, and yeah, you could put Gilliam and Singletary and Cook lined up as a receiver, but that's not the same as having a receiver lined up as receiver.
Right.
And,
yeah, exactly.
It's just, again, it just makes more sense because we pass 90% of the time to suit up an extra wide receiver than it is a running back. If you want to suit up another running back, make them do something.
Right.
Three carries and then no carries for the second and third running back. That's not, what's the point?
It's not doing a thing. Yeah.
And, and if Motor does go down, God forbid, then you're still not going to do anything with the running back anyway. So,
right.
So it's like you're better off just having another receiver because again, we run that more and then they've been more injured.
Yeah. And I think there's also something to be said about like just the overall feeling. So just talking about running backs too, like the drop off, like say Devin Singletary does go down with an injury, the drop off from what he can give you to what Zach Moss can give you, I think it's pretty significant, to be honest. And then you're not fully confident with James Cook because he hasn't been able to really deliver. I do think eventually he can be that guy, but as of right now, I'm not super confident in it. And Devin Singletary, he's got a nice combination of speed and power and a little bit of a burst. And, I'm not saying he's like the best running back in the NFL by any means, but I think he could definitely get it done. And he is a legitimate number 1-ish guy, a committee number 1 guy, if you will. I don't think he's like a Derrick Henry number 1 guy.
No,
but
of course,
I feel good with him being our starting back for sure.
Yeah, and I've loved Motor since he was a rookie, and I think him playing with Gore was like incredible for his development.
Yeah,
it's just a lot of people don't think anything of him that aren't Bills fans because they just see the box score. But this guy, he's a playmaker, and he just doesn't get the ball enough. But I agree. I think he is a number 1 back, and I think if you put him on like a different team that would use him more, you could see 100-yard games, 80-yard games, 70-yard games. But yeah, sorry, Mike. We talked about the receivers and the running backs again.
Yeah, we're already on the running backs.
I'm like, wait a minute. How do we get back to the running backs? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say about the receiving core. I mean, let's see what I got written down here. McKenzie 4 for 21 with a touchdown. Again, God bless him. He ran off the field, and he definitely did get knocked out unconscious because you can see his body tighten up, and that was very scary. And I hope he's okay. And then again, if he can't suit up next week, it's better to not because no need to rush and get back and damage your long term health.
Yep.
The Shakir had 2 for 23. One of them was a massive play. And then Diggs was 4 for 62, and that
could have had 100 yards. Could have had 100. I mean, he had a couple drops today, and one of them was a pretty big drop where it was maybe a 20-yard gain or so.
Yeah, and that one catch that Diggs made, it could have been a more perfectly executed play because with the ball being as wet as it was, throwing a bullet at someone and trying to catch it like this is a lot harder than trying to catch a basket catch like that. So perfect place. Well, it was a hard catch, and he made that play, which was great. And then Gabe Davis was 1 for 13 with like probably 8 drops. He probably had 90% of the drops on the team. And it's just you're number 2, man. Like we've seen what you can do, and you're a number 2 guy, and you can't stay healthy and you can't catch. You even last week when the ball wasn't wet, he had 3, 4, maybe 5 drops, 2 in 1 drive, or 2. Sorry, I went like this. But you are our number 2 guy. We need a lot more from you because Diggs isn't going to be able to do it every game. As we know from the Kansas City game, Davis had 8 for 201 and 4 touchdowns. He's not going to do that every time, but you got to be a legitimate threat and at least be able to catch the ball when it's, right to you. I mean,
Right.
But overall, I mean, we did enough to win. You know, we had the interception on a tip pass. I wasn't sure. Like when I first saw that, I was like, did the wind just take that ball like on a weird angle? But then when they showed it, Campbell got his hand up and tipped it.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
just,
I did
just
see
a
that.
great
Yep.
a great defensive play, and Awe had that fumble on Singletary, and he had a great game with like pressures and stuff, but he missed a lot of finishing. Like he missed on that one couple first downs. Josh ran, he slipped through his fingers. That sack, he slipped through his fingers. So, but the receivers, they did enough, and unfortunately, when we watched the film, we could count how many drops there were that should have been caught. But I mean, they did enough, and I'm glad that they made the plays that needed to be made to win the game. But a little bit disappointed.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I was gonna say Gabe's got such. I'm just so used to him having good hands, catching those fastballs. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna chalk that up for two. I hope it doesn't carry on. But you would think it was almost like, maybe I said this earlier. It's almost like the Bills have never, like we don't get rain in Buffalo. We get a lot of rain in Buffalo, and I don't know what was happening. I really don't know. I don't know if that ankle's still bothering him, and he's kind of concentrating on that a little bit too much, trying to, instead of maybe he's thinking about it too much. I don't know, because he continues to be a little banged up. He's not 100% with that ankle, but something's happening there. Hopefully it's just, he'll get back to Gabe. He has to, like you said, John. He has to.
We need it.
We absolutely do. But I'm sorry, Jake. Over to you with those receivers.
Yeah, I love what I saw from Khalil Shakir. I'm really excited to see more from him. And actually, going back to a comment that I think Kirk had said it early on, I wanted to address it. He was just saying that we're missing Cole Beasley. And I would say yes and no. So I loved Cole. Don't get me wrong. I thought he was excellent. I was a big fan. Mr. Reliable. But I really think Isaiah McKenzie has done a really good job of filling in. Like, he offers some more speed there. And I think he is like a very reliable receiver. I feel really good with him at that slot position. So I don't know. I don't totally agree with that. Like, Cole is, he's good. He was excellent here in Buffalo, and I appreciate the hell out of him for what he did for us. But I feel better with Isaiah right now. I don't know. There's just something about it. And, I'm hoping he's good and he'll be healthy. But, yeah, I think he's done a really good job there. Now, Jamison Crowder, I got to say, that first game against the Rams, he looked really good. And he didn't, statistically, he's not lighting it up or anything like that, but his route running looked filthy. In a good way, filthy. Caught everything thrown his way, and he looked like he was healthy. And now he left the game again today. So, and then even last game against the Dolphins, there was a play. It was a miscommunication play where he could have maybe had a deep touchdown, and it was a tough missed throw. So there's just a lot there. I was kind of thinking that, heading into the season, I thought he was going to be our number one slot guy, but it just hasn't been the case. Isaiah McKenzie's done a really good job of just continuing to make plays and continuing to make the most of his opportunity. So I love him at the slot position, but definitely excited to see more of Khalil Shakir too, because what I saw today, pretty awesome to see. And I know he kind of made up for that drop pass that he had earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I want to say Matthew's had a few comments, and
yeah.
I got to say, this is what I'm seeing. So I'm watching the game. I'm not, I'm out here on the West Coast, so I have to use the NFL ticket from DirecTV to watch it. And all I'm seeing out here on the West Coast is Josh Allen, doing his best acting as a reporter on the sideline. Have you guys seen that commercial?
Yeah, the Doritos one.
The Tostitos.
There's a Doritos one, Tostitos one. Yeah,
it's funny. Yep. So I'm seeing that, and I have not seen Mahomes. Now I'm not watching the CBS or anything. I'm usually watching the games through DirecTV. But somehow they know out here on the West Coast that I want to see Josh instead of anyone else. But I was expecting to answer your question. I was saying, hey, we're going to start seeing Josh Allen on these State Farm commercials, right? That's what my expectation was after last year.
I don't want the commercials. I don't want that type of publicity. I think it's too much. It sets you up for failure. I'm not a fan of quarterbacks doing commercials. It just ain't it, man.
It always does. I do want to say, I think we underutilize Crowder. So hopefully if he's healthy again, we start to, he's so fast. And he never had we always say he never had an actual
never
good
really
quarterback.
He had Kirk Cousins early on.
Yeah.
But and you can't call him. He's not Josh Allen, it's not even close.
And even McKenzie's kind of underutilized when you really break it down. So you got to get these two involved more. Like, again, I always bring it up that a couple years ago against the Jets, one of their first plays of the game, they ran a screen pass to Crowder, he ran it for 85 yards and scored a touchdown. You could do that. They haven't ran one screen pass with him. He's fast. He's not some bum slow receiver. He's fast. And great to see Shakir. I was angry that he wasn't active the first week, but I mean, we got weapons and you got to utilize them. And I think maybe that'll come with, more reps with Dorsey and, I just think you got to get Crowder more involved.
I agree with that. And
back, hopefully.
RX Fly Fishing, thank you for the comments. Question, guys. Do we have Lamar's number? The last 2 games we played against him, we looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
Is it safe to say that? Is it too early to say that?
No,
Is it wrong to say that?
The Chiefs are 3-1 against us, and they're our daddy, as people say. So I think 2-1. I think 2-1 is basically 3-1. So I think we could say that we got their number.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I say it's too early to say that, but I mean, he was in that game. They had 4th and 3 going in for a touchdown, and our defense made a huge play. And I think that's a nice segue into our defense, who we talked a little bit throughout the show, and it's going to be all positive now. We're just going to talk positivity about this great defensive game that they put together. So let's start with that defensive line. We had 2 sacks again today. We had split by Rousseau and Daquan Jones, both split a sack. And, of course, Von Miller got a sack. Von was upset. You saw the one play, and this is what Lamar can do.
Oh, man.
Right? Von had him wrapped up, and he gets away from that. And it's the same thing that Josh Allen can do. When you have 2 MVPs on the field, that stuff's going to happen, right? You can't avoid it. And especially you got Von Miller, one of the best ever, and, that happened to him. So let's talk about that line, guys. Let me start with Jake.
Yeah, I thought they really took advantage of it, especially in the second half. They were getting pressure in the first half. But, yeah, that missed sack, that absolutely killed me because, I mean, you had him. Just finish the play. I feel like even Von got a little upset with himself, too, like you said, Mike, and that was really frustrating for sure. But we made up for it in the second half. I thought our interior D-line played pretty well. I know they got some yards up the middle, and, they ran the ball effectively. Don't get me wrong. They had some really nice drives that they put together. They marched it down the field on us. They did a really good job, but we played a little bit of bend, don't break defense. But across the board on that defensive line, I really was pretty impressed with most of our guys. I thought interior-wise, we were giving Tyler Lindenbaum a lot of pressure, and the Rook really made a lot of mistakes today. I think he had 3 flags thrown against him.
3 flags, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a rough day.
What about the other gentleman that we talked about on the pregame show, who I can never say his
Daniel
name?
Falele. Yeah.
How'd you think he did?
I thought he played better than we thought he was going to play, but again, I mean, it was just he was overmatched. I'm sorry. I mean, you're not going to win against Von Miller or Greg Rousseau or whoever's up against you. I thought we definitely won that battle.
Yeah.
I thought Morgan Moses actually played a pretty good game for the Ravens too. The right tackle who was filling in for Patrick McCurry.
Sean, you like the guy in the trenches, so let's throw it to you, man. How did that defensive line do for you?
They did great, and you got to remember, it's not easy to sack Lamar Jackson. Like he's probably even harder than Josh to sack, in my opinion. So to get 2, that's great. And I think once you add Phillips and Oliver back, you're going to see even more pressure and more sacks like before. But they're always in the right place. They always do their assignment. They're great. They're great at tackling. They're great at filling the gaps, stuffing the run, rushing the passer. I haven't seen, and there was a few times up the middle where they got the best of us on a run, but that's also because you got Ricard running through the middle too, and it's that. We'll check that out again, but overall, they got an A+ again, and 2 sacks, and you held Lamar to 100. Well, not just the D line, but you sacked him twice. You kept him under 150 passing yards. You were continuously bringing him pressure. They did it great, and Settle did a good job plugging gaps. Jones did a great job plugging gaps. Rousseau, another great sack, and they did the same stunt they did with Basham.
Yeah.
With,
I loved it.
It always works, and I won't be surprised if they give Greg a full sack on that once they reevaluate it, because I think he had the majority of it. So we'll see. But I mean, this defensive line just, it just stinks in my opinion because the last 2 games we gave up 20 points, so the defensive stats look like we're not a top unit. But these guys are definitely a top defensive line, and they're making this, adding to this defense, making them a top 5 unit. And
you figure starting field position on that one play, the interception. I mean, they're already starting in our territory, so you take away maybe a touchdown from that, and then there's a lot of different ways you can look at it, based on where they start field position wise and all that good stuff. So eventually, listen, I don't care how good of a defense you are,
you're going to give up points.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they did outstanding, Mike. And then again, they were a big reason why we gave up 0 points to the second half. And that's just that's an incredible feat just to say, 20 to 10 going into halftime. You're like, damn, we're gonna have to score 35 plus points to win this game, and then they clamped down and did outstanding.
Yeah. Let's applaud Mr. Daquan Johnson. That man has been able to stay healthy through 4 games. Everyone talks about Phillips and Oliver, and my goodness, thank you. He's been playing solid.
Great signing.
Oh man, fantastic. So I applaud him a lot.
And Daquan Jones, he could play nose. He could play. He could play 3 tech. He could play 1 tech. I mean, it's a lot of versatility there.
Tim Settle, I didn't realize how big this dude was. They had a shot of him coming off the field in today's game. I'm like, my goodness, that is one huge man right there.
I can't wait to watch the 22 for this too, because I want to watch closely this D line again. How great they were, and it's just, it puts into perspective once you can slow it down to your own eye and watch what they do and how well they execute it.
Real quick, before we go through where you talked about the linebackers, I don't think we need to say much, but we didn't talk about the other side of the trenches, and we usually do. I don't know how this escaped us, but real quick, Sean, you did a lot of film study. I think last week, was it you or Jake who did the offensive line? How do you think the O-line did?
All Sean, baby.
Yeah, well, they definitely played a great second half, and first half a little bit shaky, a couple of missed opportunities, missed assignments, missed blocks, but for the most part, there was a lot of our great plays that exceptional protection, and I'm also excited to break them down too. And again, there was some run plays. The one that comes to mind is when it might have been the 3rd and 1, or maybe not, but they were trying to seal them off this way and run this way, and then I forgot who it was, maybe Campbell or somebody cut through Dawkins and beat him. And the play, and that's just, again, it's just it could have also appeared to me that Saffold was supposed to block him first, and he just kept going. So we'll have to watch that again, but
they were all down blocking one way, and then they were trying to run it off. Right. I think I remember that play.
Yeah, but overall, I think they did a hell of a job in the second half, especially. But there's a lot of big dudes on that D line, so I give them a lot of credit. I think Spencer Brown played a heck of a lot better from last week. I know JPP is lining up against them, and
Odafe Owe.
Odafe Owe, and those are big men too. And he did a lot. How I know is that he wasn't as noticeable as last week. He was easily getting his hands chopped down and be inside, outside by Ingram and Agba. But he did a lot better this week, and then I think Bates had a better game than last week. So overall, I'm expecting, once we break it down again, a lot of improvement from last week, but still a lot of missed opportunities for him. But I'm gonna give him a B minus this week.
Yeah,
I would say first half to second half, what a difference. I mean, it was like a totally different offensive line between the two halves. So, first half I was very like, this is awful. It's kind of a repeat of the previous week. Yeah. Second half, I mean, we looked 10 times better. So, definitely good to see. Yeah.
I do want to say, though, sorry to interrupt again. I know you can't really do it, but I'm just so sick of seeing these defensive linemen getting their big arms up and knocking down passes. Like my friend was like,
yeah,
we used to punch people in the ribs when they got their hands up.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, you're taught that.
You're not supposed to allow your defensive linemen to get their hands up. As soon as they get their hands up, you gotta hit it down. You gotta push. You gotta do something to stop them from tipping a pass at the line, because as you know, it worked against us and against the Ravens, negatively. I mean, would they have 3 tip passes in the first half?
Yeah. They tipped three of Josh's. throws.
Those are game changers.
Yeah.
It changes the trajectory of a ball, and then that's how turnovers happen. So I want to see them punch some rib cages. No, no, I'm just joking. But I want to see them do a better job of knocking
whatever it
arms
takes,
down.
man.
Knock some arms down, man.
So you give him a B-. What grade do you give him, Jake, on that O-line?
I think B to a B- is probably about right.
Yeah,
I'll give him a B.
B- is the worst out of the B, right? It's B-, B, then B+.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's give him a B. Give him a B.
Yeah, I would give him a B too. I mean, for me, again, you guys are the X and O guys. I love when you break stuff down. From a fan, I saw Josh have a lot of time. I saw him have a lot of time.
Yeah,
and that's really important. Looking at that, we gave up the 1 sack, which you talked about. So I'll stick
and there
with
was
the
pressure. Like they were sending some. There was couple blitzes.
Yeah.
They sort of played it similar to what Miami played it at times. I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, they were outmatched. They were outnumbered on the front line quite a bit. So I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe once we break it down again, the grade can go up because when you're watching the game live, you're trying to watch the whole field, so it's hard to notice every little thing. But once we break it down, the grade might change. And like I said, that second half was a miraculous turnaround from the first half for sure.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here, Mike. I'm seeing some new folks out there. By the way, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to Sean's channel, give us add some comments, give us a like, and most importantly, drop a nickel in that subscribe button or smash that button on the subscribe button for Sean. Greatly appreciate it. But Harbaugh, get off my lawn, you damn kids.
He's saying John Harbaugh's a grumpy old man. And actually, I know you mentioned too Bailey Zappi. How about it, man? He's coming in. He looks pretty good.
He went in?
The Packers, yeah. Brian Hoyer got hurt, so Bailey Zappi.
Wow.
By the way, you ever see Bailey Zappi's numbers at Western Kentucky? Holy smokes, man. Like 5,900 yards, 62 tutters last year. He's a 4th-round pick by New England this year. And I think a lot of people were sort of anticipating him to come in and eventually replace Mac Jones if things started going south, which right in the preseason, they're already talking how Mac just doesn't look in sync with the offense. But Bailey, I give him some credit, man. He's come into a tough situation. It looks like it's tied now, though, 24-24, and they're about to punt it.
Wouldn't that be something to see the Patriots go 1-3? Even though they're bad, so it's not the same. But it's so.
Oh, it's always fun
because they would be. When was the last time the Patriots were in last place?
Yeah,
you have to date yourself. 2002, they went 6-10 in 2002, I believe. But yeah.
So 20 years, and then now the Jets are 2-2, the Dolphins and the Bills are 3-1. So this would be the first time in a very long time.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
So we talked a lot about the linebackers early on. So again, Milano, stellar. Well, when we give out a game ball, I'll be surprised if we don't all give them a game ball. But so let's pass through them and let's go on to the corners with Dane Jackson returning, Kaiir Elam out there. I mean, if you look at how if you look at the stats, they did another fantastic job. So talk to me. I'll throw it to you, Jake. Talk to me about those corners.
Excellent game. I mean, really, Devin Duvernay had 4 for 52. Rashad Bateman didn't do much at all. Mark Andrews 2 for 15. He drew a couple flags, sure, but I'll take that. Might as well be aggressive while you're doing it. And hey, if you got to get a flag here and there, I'm totally fine with that. So I thought we did a tremendous job. Of course, having that defensive line up front certainly helps, but still a lot of pressure on those guys. I mean, they really didn't let up a big play. They didn't let up a deep ball or anything like that. So I felt pretty good with their play across the board. I'm going to give those guys an A- today.
Yeah, fantastic. I have to agree. When I'm looking at it, it didn't feel like this, but Mark Andrews only had 2 catches for 15 yards. Are you kidding me? In our pregame show, I said, I'm going to do a little Bill Belichick and say, take Andrews out of the game because he is Lamar's go-to guy. And there was one play that I was like, I mean, it was 3rd and 8, and he was wide open. I'm like, come on, this is his guy. But 2 catches for 15 yards. We did our job. Fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great for my fantasy team, but I'll take a Bills win over a fantasy win any day of the week.
Well, Lamar hurt one of my teams, and then I sat Dobbins in one league because I was like, our run defense will be good. And then, of course, the two short field touchdowns he got. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, look at back-to-back weeks. Best player Tyreek Hill, 2 catches, 30 yards. Mark Andrews, 2 catches, 15 yards.
Pretty damn good, man.
These guys are just, I mean, it's just incredible what they're doing. And my friend, my old football coach, he's a Florida Gator fan. So before week 1 started, he's like, we're at the gym. He's like, dude, man, that Elam, that guy's a dog. Like you're gonna love having this guy on your team. Like I saw him like they played at Alabama. He clamped down Mechie and the other good guy,
Jameson Williams. Yeah.
He's like, man,
that tape was so impressive, man.
Such a great player, man. You're gonna love him. And then, of course, week 1 makes a couple mistakes, and people are like, oh well, I mean, this guy's not that great. Not you guys, but you see sometimes people talk, and then I was upset that he wasn't starting. I was like, your first pick should be starting. And then, Benford was great, but these guys both, they're just, 6th round pick Benford, and then Elam's already playing like he should be starting, every game, and just he's not missing. He looks like he's been a vet. So I mean,
it doesn't really matter who you put back there. I just feel like with Sean McDermott's coaching, especially with defensive backs, it is incredible. Between him and Leslie Frazier, they really do a tremendous job coaching up our DBs. Like, I don't care who you put at corner. It just seems like they're going to be successful there. So just hats off to them, too.
We have a good problem at corner because
I know, right?
Who do you play?
I mean, say Trey White's 100% healthy by the end of the year. Are they still going to try to rotate with Benford and Elam, or are they just going to say, "Oh, you guys are backups now"?
Oh, I know, crazy.
I'm curious because I think the reason why they were doing splitting time was to see what they got, what they're made of. You know what I mean? And they both proved that they can play. And then when Trey White's healthy and Dane Jackson's healthy, those are your 2 starters.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you going to continue the switching out role? It might make sense for Trey this year, but that's not typically something you do with corners.
Right.
So I'm just curious, but that's a good problem to have when.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take it all day.
When your backups can start on any team. That's incredible. So
yep.
I love what these corners have done. And then, Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson have been great. And, Hamlin did outstanding today. He's oh my gosh, just so many good things you could say about him. And
yeah,
3rd in tackles today, 8 tackles as a safety. That's great. That means he's in the thick of everything.
And they weren't they weren't like 10 yards downfield either. There were a lot that were
yeah.
right at the line of scrimmage or, a couple of yards past the line of scrimmage, which is always good from a safety coming up and playing in the run game like that. That's awesome, man.
And he's quick. They love sending him on the outside blitz too. So he's definitely a guy we gotta, like, Jake, you gotta give credit again when credit's due. You said Jaquan Johnson and Hamlin. Unfortunately we needed them, but we if need be, before preseason, these guys can do it. And then I was like, I agree with you, but hopefully we never have to,
And here we are.
But here we are. They, they've been great. And I do think Hamlin's got the edge on Johnson a little bit, but these guys they're going to be great for us. And I still think we need to extend Poyer for 2 years. And
I
then
agree.
Hopefully Hyde can come back for a couple of years too. I don't know. We don't know anything about his neck problem because apparently it's, similar to what he's had in the past. So we're going to have to see, but I think we're in great hands with the secondary, Mike. How about you?
Yeah, if I'm getting Poyer's agent together tomorrow, and I'm signing that deal. Let's get it done. I mean, he can find the money. Please get that deal done. So the corners to me, I mean, we said this earlier in the show, and I'm just like, man, I remember like being so fearful. Like this was the area I was most concerned about. I'm like, we got to go out and get veterans, and no, these guys have stepped up. Now I look at it, and I'm like, we got Benford who's going to be coming back. We got Trey White who's going to be coming back. We got Kyer Elam playing at an elite level. We have actually Cam Lewis is a pretty damn good corner, and then we signed Xavier Rhodes, who's with us for we paid $358,000 for this guy, the minimum, got it for his
minimum
steal. I mean, and when he does come back, I did ask the question to Jake, I think, I don't know if it was in the pregame or before it or after the show, but he's a bigger guy. He's a little up there in age. I mean, I don't know if Rhodes has flirted with playing safety at all, but
I believe he did a little bit. He has played in that position before. His natural position is obviously at corner, but when you get a bigger guy like that who's also, 32 years old, a lot of times they do transition to safety. Yeah. So it might be a natural fit. It could be a potential move for him. I don't think, if Jordan Poyer is healthy and, DeMar and Jaquan continue to play at the level that they're playing at, I don't think they're going to switch him or anything like that. But, Yeah, he'll certainly be a contributor. He'll be a rotational guy. But as we were saying, does he even start when he comes back and is healthy? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so at this point. I did want to answer Nicholas's question. He had some concern. I think
Nick, love you, man.
I think somebody in the channel answered the question for him, but Poyer ended up getting the wind knocked out of him. He's okay. But yeah, I saw that too. We all saw that on the sideline. It looked like something had happened to him. Got the wind knocked out of him. So
and by the way, Nick, shout out.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, shout out to Nick. That's one of my best buds. He's living down in Florida now, but he tunes in a lot to the show. He loves our stuff, Mike, so it's great. And Sean.
I was going to say, I know we're being positive, but what are the odds that two guys – I know you guys mentioned it earlier when I was working. I was watching, listening. Like, literally the day we got Murray, he was on the injury report. I'm like, what did you hurt your foot while you walked into the facility? Like, yeah. we got these two guys to help out. And then immediately, as soon as they hit the field, they're hurt. Like – Like, right. Do we got to switch up where we're practicing? Do we got to just do something to switch the mojo so we don't have all these injuries? But wow, I mean,
that's crazy, man.
We got Mike. Let's go from Atlanta. We got another Antonio's from Atlanta too. So, and then he says 1 minute breakdown from being 4-0. Yep, we're that close.
Yeah,
but we are also a couple minutes away from being 2-2. So I'll take the 3-1. I'm
that's happy. A good point. That's a good point.
All right. So I think, we covered the corners. We've covered the safeties. We're really in a good position to have these as we get more and more healthy. Oh my God, they're already playing at this level. And I think a lot of the credit, we said this earlier in the season, to help those corners, to help those safeties. I mean, once Micah went down, that front line has to show up, and they have. They've played stellar, both against the run and getting to the quarterback. Incredible. So that's been a big part of it. Only going to get better. I'm super excited. Let's go. So, I mean, special teams I thought was fine, was great, right? In the rain, all that we already talked about that. The kicks, the holds from both teams.
One bad coverage.
There was one bad coverage on the was a kickoff. But other than that, the Bills special teams kick coverages have been stellar all year, I feel, right? I can just the one, and it wasn't that bad. He got to the 35-yard line, but maybe there was one other play, but they've been pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, they've been awesome.
I think they're underrated.
I do too. A lot of people ask why you're not kicking it through the end zone. We don't really need to. Most of the time they're starting before the 25. I mean, they're starting at their own 20 or in the teens, so it really has paid off.
Even PFF, I'll have to look after this week, but we were at 22 for special teams last week, and I was just like, I don't know. I feel like we don't miss extra points. We punt well when we punt, and then for the most part, our kickoff coverage is great.
Right.
So I don't know what they see that we're not a top special teams unit, but from again, PFF is all we got, and you can always go back to film. But for special teams, I don't know. I see. We're phenomenal at special teams, but we'll see after this week. I give them an A+ too. I mean, I think special teams is the hardest when the weather's bad because you gotta hold. If your foot slips off the ball when you're punting, bad punt, bad kick. I feel like the room for error and those specialties is just is a lot more than any other part of the game. So definitely an A+ for me.
This always reminds us of why Jake talks so much about special team players, and we get into that debate about Kumaro, who's out this week. But those special team guys that we always seem to keep and we release, when we get down to the 53-man roster. But this is a good reminder why we do that. I mean, these special teams, they've been on fire. And Jake, you're huge on the special teams side.
Oh, I am, and I want to give a game ball. If I could give a game ball to someone, I would have to give it to my guy Sam Martin. Hell of a punt and holding in this weather. I mean, that's a tough job, man. I mean, when it's wet like that, and that's a game-winning kick on the line, So I mean, that's a great job by him. Good job by Reed Ferguson, obviously too, and then of course Tyler Bass for making the field goal. So nice rebound for him. Last week he had a tough block field goal that was like a 38-yarder, and it was just nice to across the board as a unit. I thought it was awesome. So I would say A+ as well, Sean.
All right, I do want to say hi to RX Fly Fishing from New Mexico. Let's
Love
go.
it.
Nice.
Okay.
If you're new to the channel, just a reminder out there, we want to see you folks every week. It's so much more fun when we see you interacting in the channels, and this has been great. We've had a lot of people out there. So smash that subscribe button, drop a nickel on it, like and comment. We greatly appreciate it, both Nickel City Mafia and the Red, White, and Bills. We love collaborating. As you can tell, Sean's a good friend of ours here.
That's the
And
best, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, they've started, both Sean and Jake. This is where I take a night off. I let them do what they're best at. They're the X and O guys. They do some film breakdown, and I'm sure Sean will be doing that with Jake again this week. Good stuff. Thanks, RX Fly Fishing. We appreciate it. So let's talk about game balls. You already gave one out, but let's go around the horn and let's do this. Obviously, when you win, there's so many game balls we can give out. We could say, yeah, the whole team gets one, but let's be a little specific. And let's say, Jake, you already threw one out there for special teams, but all right, we'll say there's a third one out there. But give me one. Give me your game ball for the defensive player of the game, and give me your game ball for your offensive player of the game.
I can't give anyone else the game ball on defense other than Matt Milano. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't give that guy the game ball. So I hate to steal that from you guys, but I just
No, there's
how
another
could ya?
guy. There's another
There are
guy
some
there.
other names for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there is another guy. Yeah, what am I saying? There is another
Yeah,
guy. Of course, there's
yeah.
another guy. But I first name that comes to mind, the guy that really kind of started it all, I thought was Matt Milano. So I'm going to give the game ball to him, and I'll leave the other guy for one of you guys to take. Offensively, the easy way out here is taking Josh, but I'm going to give it to Devin Singletary. I thought he was extremely resilient. He had a tough fumble early on, but he kept on going. He had 4 catches for 47 yards, 49 rushing yards. So pretty solid game by him. I thought he did a really good job of responding and getting back into the game and making important plays when he needed to. Also not going and scoring a touchdown on that last drive there.
Yeah, like with RX Fly Fishing saying, give Dorsey a game ball. After all the heat with the loss last week,
Oh, yeah,
his
right.
temper tantrum. I mean, the guy, when he's in the booth and they show him, he just always looks like he's happy. But at the end of the game, of course, when he loses, he threw that. But yeah, I'd have to say that if we were giving out a game ball. So we'll let you use your game ball, RX Fly Fishing, to give it to Dorsey. Anyone
like
else
that.
in the channel? Who else you giving game balls to? So good stuff, Jake. Let's throw it to you, Sean. Give me your game ball for the defense. Give me your game ball for the offense.
Well, definitely Poyer.
Yeah,
Because,
I was gonna say, there's your other guy.
Shame on me for just how do I? We were just talking about the guy. How do I? Yeah, crazy.
But honestly, that first pick set us up to put the dagger in the Ravens, and we didn't do it. And then I said, okay, you want to squander that opportunity? I'm going to give us another opportunity. And then he made a heck of a veteran play, and that's why we got to pay this guy. And he wants to stay in Buffalo. He could easily say, oh, you don't want to pay me right now? Screw Buffalo. I'm going to go to a different team and make money. But this is where he wants to be, and he's an all-pro for a reason. And then offensively, I'm going to say, like, I'm obviously,
Baby's crying, guys. I'm going on mute. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But I want to say, like, it's not going to really sound like it makes sense, but I want to say Knox, because he made that big catch when it mattered most, and then he was a heck of a blocker today. So obviously, we're not going to give it to Josh, and you picked Motor, and Diggs is an obvious choice too. But that play was a 3rd down and long, and Knox made that nice catch, and it turned into the game-winning field goal. So, and he was a heck of a blocker today. So I'm gonna give it to Knox on offense.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't know why we don't say this guy more. I think it's like we kind of stay away. Josh is obviously Josh Allen, right? But for on defense, I'm going to our Josh Allen on defense. That's Von Miller. I could say Russo as well, but Von Miller continues to show up, continues to make everyone on that line better. So for me, it's Von Miller on defense. I would have taken obviously the 2 guys that you had, but I'm gonna, we got a game ball. We're gonna get three different people to have it. On the offense, guess what? I mean, you might be surprised he only had 2 catches for 23 yards, but I'm giving rookie Khalil Shakir a game ball. Coming in there, he just McKenzie goes down. Crowder's hurt. He comes in and makes a huge play. Not only did he make a couple of big receptions, had some nice blocking as well. So game ball to the rookie. Look forward to seeing him more throughout the year. I'm excited about him. I really am.
I love it.
I was excited about him earlier in the season, or what we saw in preseason. And again, we have a Boise State alumni who's on our channel, Tony. And I still remember the day we drafted Khalil. I texted him. He's like, "You guys got a steal. He's a beast. He catches everything." And look, I mean, he made some huge plays. I expect more from him as well. So good stuff. And then he was also returning kicks, right? I think he didn't have to touch it.
Yeah.
He made it look like he sold it very well.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, don't drop it, don't drop it."
I know. I'm like, just secure it, just secure it. It goes in the end zone. So he sold that very well.
Yeah. Also, for the stack tracker, Rousseau's got 4 and Von's got 3. So I think we all said that they both get over 10. So we're looking pretty good on that.
Looking good. Yeah, we're looking pretty good.
Yeah. So I think that wraps it up, guys. Closing thoughts. This was so much fun. I mean, it's always fun to be coming in after a victory. For a while there, I mean, it was a little, oh no, are we going to have our second loss in a row? But they pulled it off. Closing thoughts for you, Jake.
Oh, just an incredible win. I mean, that's a really good football team that we played. It's going to be a rematch in the playoffs, most likely. I think the Ravens are going to be fine too. I wouldn't get too worried if I was that fan base. If Chris and Rick are watching this, don't worry about it, guys. We'll see you in the playoffs. It'll be good. And looking forward to seeing you guys in your Bills jerseys come your next fantasy football show.
Yeah. I told Rick in the Discord, I said, I'll be driving over the Kelly jersey for you to wear at the next show. It's the same thing I told Jonah. I go, look, the team's 2-2. Your team's going to win that division. I really believe that, and they're going to be in the playoffs. And we'll see you. We'll see them again, and that made him feel a little better as well. Sean, closing thoughts from you, man.
Well, first off, thanks for having me again, and I love coming on here and talking football with you guys, and I can't wait to do it again. And I just love how the Bills can take us on a roller coaster, thinking, "Wow, this looks terrible," to "Wow, they played like champions today." And I want to give you guys credit for dealing with my form of coping during bad football. But you guys know deep down I would never give up on a team, so I appreciate that you let me get my negativity out and the messaging. And then it's funny because I'm like, turn the game off, and then I'm like, "Wow, nice play," and that's like, But I really appreciate you guys having me on. What a well-rounded win. That's how champions get it done, and that's all we wanted to see from them. Like, you got to fight or you give up, and they fought to the end, and they did an outstanding job, and that goes to show why this team was Super Bowl favorites to begin with. They went from looking like the 2018 Bills to Super Bowl champion Bills. So I give them a heck of a lot of credit for that. And check out me and Jake hopefully tomorrow. We'll see if you can, and we'll see if the 22 is up tomorrow. We're going to try to get it done sooner this week because last week we did it on Thursday Night Football. So hopefully we can get it done. It all depends on if our schedules work. But definitely check that out. It's really fun. And then if you guys have anybody maybe you specifically want us to talk about, shoot me or Jake a message or Mike, and then we can work that out for you too. Because it's really fun to break down film.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So again, I want to encourage everyone to join our Discord. Having that group chat with the three of us here that are on the show. And, I always say we're going to help each other through the hard times and celebrate the good times. And that's what it's all about when you have these group chats. And that's what the Discord is. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's a nice little chat program. And we have 3 different threads in our Discord channel. The Bills, of course. We have fantasy football, which if you're into the Bills, you're probably playing fantasy football as well. A lot of good information there, but join it. I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. And this is where we get to talk throughout the game. I mean, we're talking constantly, and we actually had fun, man. Yeah, we actually had 2 of the guys from our show there at the game in Baltimore. We had Jake out there in Miami. We had Jake out there for the Titan game, and then I was at SoFi Stadium. We've been pretty lucky this year, and we've had people.
Yeah, we've all gone to games this year.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool, huh?
It's been pretty awesome. And Sean, greatly appreciate you, and I look forward to that film breakdown. And again, everyone in the channel, I greatly appreciate you guys. It's so much fun. Guys, girls, we've had a lot of women participating lately. We had a lot get into the giveaway. It's so good to see all of you. So look forward to the next show. And thanks again. Go Bills. Let's go celebrate. We got the rest of the night. Let's go celebrate.
Go Bills.
Hell yeah.
Go
Go Bills,
Bills.
baby.